My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks. Granny Rocks.
Rocks. Yes, and my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James, and you have come to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks and Rolls. So please do chat with us tonight. I'm taking the chats and I'll pass them on to Beth, and she'll talk directly to you in person if you are directly here in person. Otherwise, leave us a comment later on, and she will respond.
She will. But tonight, I hope that some of you are here live and can participate, because the topic for tonight is, what should you do when you can't relax? And other questions. Ask Granny, right? And we're all going to laugh. I mean, I have wit wisdom, and I am very human, so I'm just like you. So I have the same issues that you do. So here we have a comment.
Tracy is here and says hello and sends a heart of love and caring. Thank you, Tracy. Same back at you.
Hi, Tracy.
And Amy is here and she says, hi, Beth and James. I missed last week's live show, so I'm glad I could be here now.
Thank you, we are too.
Yeah, we are too.
So, this is an invitation to ask me a question. In the meantime, we've got two questions that I have been asked many times. So if there's somebody here who wants to ask me a question, put it on the live chat in YouTube or in the comments on Facebook, and I will attempt to blunder my way through the answers. So the first question that people ask, and I ask it too, what should you do when you can't relax? I mean, we know we need to relax, right? Don't we? I mean...
And Karen is here, and she says, yay, so glad to be here.
Ooh, we're glad you're here,
lots
too.
Lots of hearts of love. Thank you, Karen.
So, sometimes we can't relax, right? Now we know what we're supposed to do is think, okay, I'm going to meditate now. I'm going to chant. And I'm still like, I can't relax. And my head is spinning and my heart is racing and all of that. Awful, awful feeling. So what are you going to do if these things don't work? Well, first of all, what you can do, and I have a couple of suggestions. You may have some suggestions too, and put them in the comments or in the live chat on YouTube. The obvious, right? Find out the source of the anxiety and fear and then deal with it.
Yeah.
Now,
deal with it.
It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Why are you feeling agitated? Oh yeah, I'm going to give a presentation in front of my class of 3 at of kindergartners. That must be it. Well, maybe that isn't it. I mean, that is part of the problem. Like, what is the source of our anxiety or fear at any given moment? And sometimes it is the obvious, like, oh yes, I am going to give this presentation in front of 3 kindergartners. But sometimes it's something else, like, oh, my supervisor is going to come in and is going to be watching me, and that's going to determine whether or not I come back to get a job next year. Okay, so that's not very deep, but all right, that's another thing. Okay, it may not just be talking to the kindergartners, it's who else is listening, or it may be something from the past that we know, oh, I was humiliated when I tried to speak, or something like that. But very often, and this is the tough thing, the source of the the source of the anxiety isn't even in the thing that we think it is. Maybe it has nothing to do with talking to the kindergartners.
By the way, we have a couple of more comments.
Oh.
Robbie says, hello, namaste. I'm from Kathmandu.
Hi,
Nepal.
Robbie. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see
Great
you.
to see you.
Yes.
Elizabeth's here, and she says hi and sends a heart of love.
Oh,
and caring.
wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you,
Oh, what a
Karen.
nice
Listen.
group of people. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming and being with us live.
Randy, I have a question for you.
What?
What if a person is an anxiety-ridden nutcase? In other words, has generalized anxiety, and they have no idea where that's coming from?
Okay, so that's a good question. So here I want to talk about what to do if you can't do anything about it. And, where you say, okay, I don't know why I'm anxious. I haven't gone to see my intuitive counselor lately, and I really don't know. So I want to suggest some things, and then maybe deeper into that question. The first thing is do something physical. I mean, maybe you can't meditate because you're too anxious. Maybe you can't figure out what it is that's really making you anxious. But what happens when you go for a walk in the woods? You get tired, right?
Too tired to feel
Too
anxious or
tired.
stressed.
Too tired. I find, now you may not find this, but I find that if I do something physical, now, if I cleaned the house, of course, physically, I'm not capable of cleaning the house or cooking or doing anything like that. But I bet you that if I cleaned the house or started vacuuming the stairs, if I could do any of those things, I would feel less anxious because a lot of that nervous energy is going into that physical plane. So I think that's really important. And if you can't do anything like that, there is walking. Hopefully you can do that. Or exercising or something. So that's something that we can do. Another thing we can do is just take our minds off it by putting our minds onto something else. Now, what should you put your mind onto? Well, what do you think is going to grab your attention? If you watch the news, that might grab your attention, but it might make you more anxious. Play the piano. So that's physical, and it takes my mind off things and puts it on something else. In other words, instead of saying, I won't think about that anymore, even though I don't know that that's really the thing that's making me anxious, I am going to think about this. Let me watch a movie. Let me watch a program. Probably not a program about how to deal with anxiety. That might get into a conversation, call somebody, go to the zoo.
Listen
if you
to some music.
Listen to some music.
Today I was feeling agitated, and you gave me some help in getting at the cause. But then when I went and listened to some music, and then I practiced singing, it all went away, and I felt so much better.
See, now that is a very good point. If you know yourself, you may know things that do make you feel calmer, like singing. I mean, karaoke, singing with the Beatles or whoever is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift.
Not Taylor Swift, or whoever it is that lights your candle at this point, and sing with her.
Yeah.
So be active, be an active participant in something. That will help you to take your mind off it. But now the final thing that I have to say about this, in this section, is be anxious. If you really can't get rid of your anxiety, guess what?
Be anxious.
Be anxious. But don't be anxious about being anxious.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
I would very much like to elaborate on that. In other words, let's say I know I have an anxiety problem, or I have to do something that, And I know that it's bad for my health, it's bad for my mind, it's just bad. It's just so bad. I mean, it's, and that means that I'm terrible and I'm doing terribly, and all my efforts to become less anxious are just gone. And I'm not saying take a pill or have a drink, by the way. Have you noticed? So supposing you say, okay, I am feeling anxious right now, and I don't know why. But it's not a tragedy. It's okay. It doesn't mean I'm doomed to be anxious every minute in my life. It doesn't mean that I'm going to give myself a terrible illness. Doesn't mean I'm going to get an ulcer. See, a lot of what makes us anxious is that we are anxious about being anxious. We have judgments about ourselves. Oh, no, I'm so anxious. And of course, the more you read about anxiety disorders and all that stuff, the more you think, oh my God, do I have this and do I have that and am I bipolar? And so what I'm saying is change your attitude towards your anxiety at that moment. So do all the things that I was recommending. Try to make yourself more relaxed. Give yourself something fun to do. Pat yourself on the back and say, Beth, of course you wouldn't say that to Beth unless you're also Beth. And I see we have some comments, but well, I'll come to that in a minute. Just let me finish this. Just say to yourself, it's not a tragedy. It's okay. You're going to get through it. You're gonna be fine. Anxious or not, you're gonna be fine. Then take a breath and try to do something else. But do you see my point? And let's see.
Yes, indeed. We have a comment here from Mohammed. Your program is specifically meant to be relaxing the people through your music, madam. So your music has a relaxing effect.
That's our Thursday night show.
But also tonight when you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has a soothing quality to it. And then Mohammed goes on to say, being anxious about something is natural, madam.
Well, let's say it is natural and it's common. But it doesn't mean that it has to be that way. It's not like, okay, my hair is naturally curly. I mean, this is the way it grows, right? So that is natural. This is truly me. All right. But anxiety, maybe we are not by nature as anxious as we feel, although it is true, Muhammad, that it's not abnormal at all to be anxious about certain things. I mean, if somebody is coming, I'm at the dentist, and I've had a lot of pain at the dentist. As soon as I hear that whirring drill, it's like, I'm already anxious. They haven't even touched me, and I'm anxious. So a lot of our anxiety is associations with other experiences. If we can find out the source of our fear or anxiety, what is this bringing up for us, Muhammad? Then we are much more likely to be able to deal with that anxiety. So even if it's about the dentist, to say, okay, I'm having memories of being 13 years old and having 15 cavities and no Novocaine, but this is not the same situation. I'm an adult. I have Novocaine or whatever it is. So we can sometimes, by noticing what it is that it's reminding us, we can say, well, that isn't the same. Now, if I was in the Spanish Inquisition and somebody was going to torture me and pull my fingernails out, I think I would be anxious. And that would be very natural. And there's nothing that I could do about that, I don't think. But I could try breathing. In fact, I would try to go into an altered state of consciousness and be as unconscious as possible. Maybe I would hold my breath and hope that I died. But anyway, for most of us, things are not at that level. But it's not always really so simple that it's natural to be anxious. It's that it is natural that things from the past will trigger our anxiety and we can do something about that. But when we can't, what we have to do is stop beating ourselves up, because if we get anxious about being anxious, we are doubling it or tripling our anxiety. We can say, it's okay. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm going to make a mess of this. Oh, I'm anxious, and in the past, when I've been anxious, I've made a mess of things, right? Well, no, I'm anxious doesn't mean I necessarily am going to make a mess of things. Maybe I'm better prepared. Or if I do make a mess of things, who cares? What's the difference? You know, what is the tragedy of that? There's another comment, honey.
Students are anxious about the results of their exams. What would you say about being anxious in this situation?
That's a very good question. I think, you see, if you were asking me, which you are, I would say we should stop grading people from their exams. That we should be helping. And I know you don't have control over this. You're a teacher, right? You're in a system where it says, oh, you have to grade people. But maybe we could rethink that. You know, when we are anxious, we do not often perform at our best. You take a look at Olympic athletes, and suddenly they get nervous and they fall. And they've done the same routine 400 times and never fell before. In that case, you can see the stress and the anxiety diminishes their ability to function. Now, supposing we lived in a world where we weren't being graded, but rather we were being supported. So for example, Muhammad, supposing you gave them an exam and you said, the purpose of this exam is to show us your strengths and weaknesses so I can help you. I'm not saying that you can do this in your situation, but if you could. So then you could say, there's no reason to be anxious because this is just here to help. I'm here to help you.
Elizabeth has a comment. I think I'm anxious about worrying about the company I work for, even though I've been reassured my job is stable.
That's a great example. You just said, Elizabeth, I am anxious about worrying. So how do you stop being anxious about worrying? So that's a very good question. How do we stop being well, we have to talk to ourselves sometimes and saying, okay, worrying is not helping me. What could I do instead? Let me write a story about my job and how much I love it. Or let me write a story about what happens to Elizabeth if she loses her job and see why you're anxious about worrying. But you could just say, it is very normal for me. Normal for me, oh, Muhammad, doesn't mean that it's natural, right? To worry. But I don't have to be anxious about it because I know I will survive this. I've worried about so many other things, and
somehow you survived.
Somehow I survived. So give yourself a pat on the head, or eat a good healthy meal, and say, it's okay that I'm anxious about this. Maybe next time I won't be, but I'm not going to beat myself up.
Here's another question. Tracy, how do we stop worrying about what other people think of us?
Oh my God, Tracy, you are not going to believe this. You know what the second question I have here is? How can I stop worrying about what other people think of me? That is literally, I got that question before I started. I said, now what is another question that people have? And that was what came to me.
Oh, yeah.
Tracy, that is amazing. Well, I'm going to have some fun with this one. Worrying about what other people think of me. Oh my God, and I do that all the time. Oh, what is this client going to like me? Is this client going to hate me? Are they going to make another appointment? Are people going to watch the show? Are they going to stop watching? Do we have any followers? Okay. So Tracy says,
Tracy says, haha, that's perfect.
isn't that amazing? I mean, James is the witness. It's right there in
Right
black
up
and white.
there.
I almost never write any notes, but today I got that I should write down this second question. Well, I have a couple of ideas for us on that one. This is fun. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Change your thoughts. Instead of thinking about what they think about you, why don't you think about what you think of them?
Ooh, right.
Ooh, nasty. But it's just to interrupt the pattern, because this worrying about what people think of us is a habit, right? So I know it's mean and terrible, but it really is the first thing that came to me. Start thinking of what you think of them. Do you think of them as kind? Do you think of them as generous? Do you think of them as selfish? Do you think of them as opinionated? Do you think of them as stupid? Do you think of them as dangerous? Are they in fact dangerous? We have another comment.
Probably not. We have another comment. Muhammad says, if someone who is madly in love with a woman or something and is anxiously waiting for that person or that thing, should anxiety not take place here?
No, I would say that, but I'm going to address that in a second, Muhammad, because that is connected to Tracy's question. What does she think of me? So refocus on what you think of her. Now, I don't mean that you should do it in a mean and critical way, but what I mean, you need to think about who this person really is, what their background is. Now, think about that. Sometimes people don't like you, and it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the way they were raised, that they were raised to appreciate and value certain things and not other things. So, for example, if you're talking about falling in love with, and that is in line with Tracy's question, someone who was brought up to think about money as being a high value and you don't have any, think about that. What is the likelihood that they're going to overcome all of that just for you? Or that they're going to be willing to stand up to their parents? I don't care if he hasn't got a dime. And then she's going to get disowned by her parents. And what we want is for her to overcome all of that for us to make us feel better. But if you think about that person in a realistic way, you're going to realize that that would be a big stretch for them. Now, if they are capable of that stretch, that's a wonderful thing. You know, otherwise they don't deserve you. So now, the next thing, what you do if you to stop worrying about what people think of you, seeing them in your mind's eye going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a kind of a humbling experience.
Exactly. In other words, see them blowing their nose, going to the bathroom, having a snit, falling.
Sitting in an audience and they're all sitting in their underwear.
Yes, seeing them in their underwear. We have another comment. But
Oh, Angelina.
yeah, but see more. But in the meantime, let me go on to here. You just keep doing that.
Okay. Are you ready? Angelina says, good night. I have a son with autism. He is now 22 years old. Because of the life I wanted for him, I had to stop thinking of what people were thinking of him and me.
Oh, good for you.
He is the most beautiful and happy young man today. Live a life with a smile as bright as the sunshine.
Wow, Angelina, I'm impressed. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So that's exactly what you're hoping for when we get through this, not worrying about what people think of us or the people around us. That's good, because that frees us. Then, and in relationship with this, the next point I want to make about this is, ask yourself what difference it actually makes what that person thinks of you. So if we're going back to Muhammad's case, it's like, oh, you think your life is going to change because this woman that you're madly in love with is madly in love with you. But I will tell you something. If she is not madly in love with you, you're going to have a mad life. A life of being mad, of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling unloved. So if she's not really valuing you, then let her go, because she's not going to make you happy. And so self-preservation says, don't worry about that. And, go out and find someone who likes you and stop worrying about the people who don't.
I
And
like the saying, what you think of me is none of my business.
that's right. I like that. So in relationship to this, and I have got to keep going with my few little tips here.
Oh, by the
but-
way, Angelina says LOL.
That's great.
Lots of laugh, lots of love.
Okay, the next idea, how to stop worrying about what other people think of you, is take their power away. See, and thinking of them on the toilet or blowing their nose, whatever it is, or that they're, if you're young, that their parents are really dominating them, or they're dominated by society, whatever. When you think of them that way, you see that they are no more powerful than you are. Right? They are not anymore. Nobody is. So in your mind, you've given them power. You have given them the power to say who you are. You have given them the power to tell you what your value is, to give you appreciation. Take that power away. Think of them as like a doll that's sitting there, and say, are you going to sit there and look at that doll and say, what does she think of me? What does he think of me? It doesn't make any sense, does it? So take their power away. They are not bigger than you. They are not more important than you. They do not determine who you are. And here, last but not least, and I can't believe that I'm running out of time already, think about ways to help them or to help others. In other words, turn the whole energy around. When we are looking to others to make us feel good about ourselves, then we're sitting there in this, please,
Being at the effect,
being at the
not
effect.
in your power.
But now, even better than thinking negatively about them, think about ways to help them. Say, oh, how does this person need help? Oh, they need help in breaking away from their parents, or they need help in having some self-esteem that is not determined by who they're going out with or how much money they have. Or if you feel like there's no opening for you to help them, help somebody else. See, the minute that you start helping people, you feel your value. When you feel your value, you know your value, you stop caring about what other people are thinking of you. And so that would be my suggestion. And we have got to close up shop.
Yes, we do.
I can't believe it. I want to say something about, please like or love the show or give it a thumbs up on YouTube.
And share it with others.
Share it with others. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the notification bell, or follow our page on Facebook. Share this program. And I want to tell you that tomorrow night, we are going on with Magical Improvs at 7 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday night. Now, the U.S. Presidential debate, first one, is taking place tomorrow night, if I am correct, at 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is 6 p.m. Pacific time. And so we're going to be watching part of that, and then we're going to leave, and we're going to be here.
On time at
And
7
if
p.m.
you're here, great. If you'd rather come later, that's fine too. But we will be here. So I hope you enjoyed this program. I want you to send me questions that I can do another question and answer show at some point. If you like, if you send me questions, then I'll know what you want. And I'm just pleased. I loved our conversation tonight, and I felt like we were in sync and in tune. And I can't believe that I had Tracy's question verbatim before the show. But you can write to me, and I will try to answer. I hope that you found that my answers are very common sense and doable and strike you in your heart. And let's all be very kind to ourselves today and forever. So,
Wonderful. Thanks for coming. It's great to have you with us.
thank you.
Bye for now. Hope to see you again soon.
Bye bye.